Alright, so the project at hand for right now is to get some little tables built for this corner over here, so kind of like a workbench. I got something to put stuff under, all my different engine components, different engines, also a place just to kind of work. So I want to make it kind of an L-shaped. Looks like it's about two 4-foot panels plus a little bit more, so it's probably about 8.5 feet along that wall, and then there's some more over here. So I kind of want to make it probably 8 feet along this wall, and then we'll fill up the remainder kind of to the edge over here. So let me get started first by moving all this stuff. So I'll set up a time lapse of me kind of moving it all, and then we'll get started with the building process. Alright, so for the height of the bench, I'm thinking about 38 inches. So it seems like a reasonable working height for it. Something where I could stand, I could get a seat and so forth. I think I'll be standing most of the time, so 38 inches seems like a decent working height. Then I think what I'll do here is I'll just take it from the wall and go out 8 feet, which comes to right about here, so that's almost the whole wall width, and then I'll build maybe a 6-foot section or so over there. So for the width, I'm thinking probably about a 27 to 30 inch width. I want something enough where I can have stuff on the back but still kind of work towards the front. It's not too long, but also I don't want it to be too short. So I'm thinking I'll probably go with about a 27 inch here. 30 seems, I could also do a 30, but probably between 27 and 30, somewhere in there, I will make that. So let me get the boards and we will start cutting, making the frame, and putting it up. Alright, so I have 2 sheets of plywood right here. I believe they're probably 5/8 to 3/4 inch plywood. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stack 2 on top of each other, line them up, and then make the cut. I'm thinking I'm probably going to make the table 30 inches wide, and then if it's too wide, I can always cut it down, versus if it was 27 and I wanted it a little longer, well, I'd have to add a piece instead. So let me go ahead and line these up, and then I will start cutting them to the 30-inch desired length. Alright, the boards are all lined up here, so now let's measure for 30 inches of width, and then we will cut them out. So what I'm going to do for the 30 inches of width is I'm going to take a tape measure, mark a couple spots along the piece that are 30 inches wide, and then I'll take a straight edge and connect all of the lines. So for my straight edge, I'm going to use this piece of OSB board. You can see with the blue, this is a factory edge, so it should be pretty straight. So I'm going to use this to trace it, and we'll cut them. Alright, so I don't know if you can see that, but I have the line drawn out. That's right at about 30 inches. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and cut the pieces, and then we can start building the platform for it that goes along the wall. I believe these pieces are both 8 feet long. Make sure when you're cutting, you're wearing safety glasses and ear protection. Alright, we have our 2 pieces cut, one on top of the other, and what we're going to do here is set them up and start building the platform. So I'm going to get some 2x4s. These are pretty hefty pieces, so I think if I just put a couple braces and then one around the outside and some along the back wall, that should be sufficient. So let's get building the frame and putting these up. Alright, I'm going to measure here for the boards on the back. So I want this to be roughly, so I wanted the top, I believe, to be probably about 40 inches, I think. Seems like a decent height. So I'm going to go along, mark 40 inches, or actually mark one spot, and then use a level, because I'm not sure if this ground is level here. So. Alright, so I'm just going to put some random pieces on the back wall, and more so just to hold up the back. I don't think it should go anywhere. Alright, level right there. So I have a piece, this is just OSB board that I cut to, it's just about the height that I need it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the board that I want as a table, just kind of right where it should be, and use this as a brace for the outside, and then I can go ahead and build the rest of the frame for that. So let's get that board and set it in here. Alright, so that board is set in there. Seems a little higher than I want, so I may try to drop it down a couple of inches just before I go any further. So I'll probably drop it down maybe 4 inches. I shouldn't really have to do much for that, but I'll maybe drop it down to 36. That seems a little better of a working height instead of 40. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so I just adjusted it now. Much better working height. I can still reach stuff in the back. Seems like it's a good width here. I can reach stuff in the back, reach stuff in the front. Not too high where I'm having to keep my arms way up, but it's not too low where I'm trying to bend down. So I think that's a good height. I'm going to go ahead and screw off the back, and then I can start making the things for the other parts of it. Alright, so I was actually thinking of putting a 2x4 right down here, but this plywood is actually really thick, and I'm not going to be putting anything on here that's going to be too heavy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a couple braces. I'm going to make a leg, comes down right here to help hold this side up, and then I'll probably put another one in the middle. I'll probably put one, I'll put one right here where these two butt together, and then along the other board. So I don't think I'm going to put 2x4s all along it just because I don't really need that much support. I mean, this plywood, I don't know if you can see here. That's my finger to it. It's probably 3/4 to an inch thick. This is not OSB, so it should be pretty good. So let me start making the legs and we'll put them in. Alright, here's one leg. So this should be nice and parallel, or nice and level, I should say. You can see there the bubble is right about in the middle of the two lines, so that's nice and level. And so right now we'll go ahead and screw that right in. Line it up with the edges and screw it in. Excellent. Let's get some more legs for the other parts. Alright, so for this piece that's going to hold the two together, I'm just going to first start by attaching it to the plywood up top. One in the front there, another one back here. Alright, so now that that's attached, I can go ahead and use the level to help level this board and attach it to the wall. Alright, so that is nice and level right there. Bubbles like right in between. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the other board and lay it across the top, and we will get that fastened in. I'm also going to put another board like this down a little further just so we have something to screw into. Alright, so I have some braces up along the back wall there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other piece that I cut. I ended up cutting it down to 6 feet long, so it's not going to go down to the right as far. But let's get that piece in here and we'll screw that off. Alright, so I don't know if you can see this, but it's pretty well lined up in the back there, but then there's almost, I can start to put the pencil through down there. So what I want to do is I want to make sure the board is shoved all the way down, lined up against the back wall. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this straight piece to help me get down there about the distance off that it is right here. Alright, so we are roughly starting at the 2, probably about 3/16 of an inch off. So let's come down here and we're going to measure 3/16. And now what we'll do is we'll line up this board right to the edge there, this corner up to the 3/16 inch, and we'll score a new line. And then we'll go out, we'll recut that off, and then it should fit very well right up against this, and it should look great. Alright, excellent. That all lines up well. I don't know if you can see that, but there's hardly any gap in here anymore. So now we can go ahead, fasten the back, and start making some braces for in the front, locking everything together, and we should be good to start putting stuff on top of it. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the little corner piece here for the for underneath in the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and screw it up like this, and then it'll go underneath. So let's get that done. Alright, let's start by putting this couple screws in on this side. Make sure everything's lined up. I'm using that wall in the back just to make sure everything's flush, because that'll represent the floor. Alright, let's just make sure this works. Alright, I messed this up a little bit. The screws are actually supposed to go in this piece, and then that's going to go onto this end, so let's fix that. Alright, now that we got that flip, let's test it out. Alright, let's see how it fits in. Alright, that's going to fit perfectly. That'll look great. Let's go ahead and put a couple more screws in and we'll fasten it in. And we'll check for flushness on the front. The bottom looks like it could go in just a little bit, so we'll go ahead and tap that. Doesn't need much there. Alright, looks pretty good right there. So we'll go ahead, put a screw in here, put a couple in from the back side, and we should be good. Alright, so we've just about finished up here. I ended up not doing any legs in the middle. Instead just put a 2x4 across, so that really strengthened it up. I tied that into the legs on the sides there. So the width is 30 inches. This way here, as well as this way, you can see I put up a couple of the engines. And then from this corner all the way to the wall is 8 feet, and then this piece over here is another 6 feet, so it's like 8.5 feet the other way. But this desk should definitely come in handy, definitely for fixing things and just storing other stuff off the ground. I'm probably going to put my air compressor either underneath or probably over on this side here. I still have some cleanup to do, but at least this project is done. Alright, let's go do something else.